Today we have a wonderful guest on, and she has such a great story and to share with you and learn what she can help you learn about yourself and what your potential is in so many ways. And this is through video. Rachel Dunn is her name, from Girl Director, and Rachel has, so many stories to tell, and her challenges. And what she's learned over the years, and also being part of a partnership with her partner Michael, and how she helps, or how they both help women empower themselves on video. So just before I welcome Rachel, I'll just do a bit of housekeeping. So here on the programs on Angel Heart Radio are not meant to replace any legal, medical or professional advice, nor your own inner wisdom, inner knowing what you need to do for yourself. So thank you. So before no further ado, welcome Rachel, and thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and excited to be here. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Now you've got many things you can tell us about your business, which is helping women, empower themselves, who find their voice through video, and helping them see what they can do. And because I know what I was like. Look, I still get nervous being on video, but you help women in so many ways, just get that confidence and feel they can do it. And I'm sure there's so many things they find about themselves within that, apart from learning how to be on video.
That's very true. And I really believe deeply that I'm a healer, just like many people, but my skill set, or my tools, or what I wrap that up in, is video. So a healer using video that can help women to transform themselves. And what happens is so powerful, because we've been doing it for, the first ones in Australia to have camera confidence training, because it was such a big thing for me. I really was terrified and did not like what I saw. Every photo, even my little laptop lens, I would stick something over it. I had a huge phobia, and I really realized how crippling it was for women. And I really felt like I really wanted to create something to shift that, because I never wanted women to feel like I did by putting myself down. It creates negativity, the stuff you attract. So it's a huge area for women.
And what was amazing that you've been doing this business for how long now? Like this particular Girl Director, how long has that been going?
This facet, or this part of it, 8 years, although we've been going since 2005. 8 years online. So yeah.
Right. Okay. So before that, everyone sort of starts from somewhere, or the idea has to come from somewhere. Tell us about when you were younger and what sort of led you into this. And I guess there must have been an aha moment, or it slowly dawned on you that this is what you wanted to do. And you've got many experiences to talk about. But at the beginning, how did it start for you?
It's really interesting. My dad used to have a record store in country Australia, in a place called Mount Gambier. And I remember Dad was, they're all musicians. And Dad would, I guess, give me piano lessons. And my piano teacher got so frustrated because I was so bad at piano. And I don't know, my identity started there, where I thought, well, I'm not good at piano. I'm not a musician. But what I can do is I can see music. And so whenever I'd be dragged along to Dad's band practices and things like that, I just started to really see music, not play. So that's when I was 15, I never forget, lying on my carpet, that I went, you know what? I want to be a director. I want to be a music video director. And back then, in a country town, where do you do that?
Yeah. Yes. Where, like, so everything sort of started to fall into place after that, or It took a while.
Absolutely. I never forget, Dad would have big bands in the 80s, bands like people might not know them now, but people like Boom Crash Opera or the Angels, or, you know, all of those that I'd meet, and I'd be like, can I do your music video? I'm going to be a music video director one day. I have that real, you know, no fear attitude back then. And I'll never forget with Boom Crash Opera, I was like, I'm going to do your video. And I met them later and I'm like, you know, I said I was going to be a music video director, and that's exactly what I did. So it's really interesting that back then I had the conviction, and especially in a country town when, you know, that wasn't a thing. So I loved it because it was a unique thing. Nobody at school was going to leave school to be a director. It was like a lawyer, a painter, or a woodwork teacher, or a, you know, a teacher. So the fact that I had a creative vision back then, I've always been a visionary.
Yes, and that's, I mean, not everyone has that. Not everyone knows what they want to be from that young. You know, some people never know. So to have that early is quite amazing. Yeah,
I feel very blessed and very it just felt right, and I just followed it. And I think having that and knowing what direction, I knew that my pathway was going to be get into television as soon as you can and learn from the ground up, like learn what you need to be a good director. So that's when I did work experience at Channel 8 in Mount Gambier through school. And I remember polishing their floor, and I was so bored. I just wanted to do stuff. But in a country town, you got a little taste of everything. So I could at least see what there was. And that was my in.
Yes, you're definitely learning from the ground up in that way, every facet. So that's really good foundation in that way, take you to greater heights. So when was the first time someone let you actually do something?
Well, it wasn't until I moved to Adelaide. I finished year 12 and I did media studies after that. And I made a conscious decision not to go to uni. And all of my friends went to uni. And I thought, it makes no sense to me to go to uni, then finish, not getting the skills on the job. All I want is to work in TV. Yeah. And so I thought, no, uni's not going to take me where I need to go. And I've never regretted that decision, because it meant that I went and I did three months study, and then I got a job. So straight away, I got my first job as an animator in a program called Mullygrubs, which do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Kids show. Look it up if you don't know.
Great.
It's embarrassing.
It's okay. You're amongst friends here.
But again, I was just so intuitive back then. I remember going on a tour of Channel 10, and I sat there in the security area, and I thought to myself, like, I overheard someone talking. And if you knew me back then, I wasn't an outspoken person, but something inside me went, speak up. Like, they were saying, oh, we need to find an animator somewhere. Do you know anyone? I'm like, I'll do it. I just didn't even know the people. And the guy's like, okay. And I'm like, I don't know how to do animation. Like, what am I thinking? What did you just do? But that was my in, and I started to learn from this amazing teacher that taught me animation back then.
Wow. No, I didn't realize you did animation as well. That's quite a specific sort of skill to learn, to be able to do. Yes.
Yeah, and a frame by frame, I had to do frame by frame animation for a kids show. Wow. And look, that job only lasted 3 months, and then I found a full-time job, which was putting commercials to air. And that was a hard, because when I got the job, he's like, and guess what? Your start time is 4 a.m. for a year. I'm like, you know, when you're 18, you're like, what do you mean I start at 4 a.m.? And he's like, you do have your license, don't you? And I went, and I had my L's. And so again, I was like, what did you just say? I can't drive to work at 4 a.m. Mama's not going to drop me off. So again, I had to tell a little white lie there. And I ended up saying, just so you know, I'm on my L's. I do have my license, but it's my L's. So I had
So
to learn to drive.
how did you get to work at 4 a.m.?
Well, I ended up talking to these amazing guys that used to work at the same shift. They'd pick me up and I would drive their car in L plates at 4 a.m. There was no traffic. So it was a fantastic way to learn to drive.
That's brilliant. Get up all those hours. So that's actually would be a really good foundation, doing the animation, frame by frame for what you're doing there. Like, it would give you so much more understanding, I'm figuring. Is that correct, in seeing things?
All of it. Yeah, absolutely. And understanding what makes video, because really when you look at a video, it is a series of frames.
Yes.
And when you look and you capture that piece of video, I create images and vision so that you stop on any one frame and you're really happy with it. And that's my goal, is that any frame that I look at, it looks like a masterpiece. And that's my goal. So I always want to be happy with the vision. So anywhere I stop, it's a picture.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yes. Yes, it opens up a whole new thing. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know how you direct people. I've done some of Rachel's courses, which are great. And I watch how you direct things. You really, I can see you watching, getting things how it should be, just how it should be. Yes. So that's very interesting. So going from there, you were at this place for a while and then moved on.
Well, 10 years. I was at
10
Channel
years,
10.
right.
Yeah, which was, we were talking about that this morning with my partner, Michael. And 10 years. And so I did my long service leave, and really young, doing a young service leave, but I worked my way through. So I used to put the weather, I used to type up the weather. I used to do a lot of, I learnt design. So I used to do a lot of graphics for news so I worked my way out of that horrible area to being a motion designer and then a director. So,
wow, that would be fun.
Yeah, and look, being a director, there's a lot of responsibility, because you have to come up with the vision, and then you've got to work with people to create that vision that's in your mind that hasn't actually existed yet. So it's so important to have that clear image in your mind. And that's what we teach too, is that it doesn't matter what you create in your life, you have to have that image. It doesn't matter if it's a video or your dreams or what you're creating in your life, you have to have that clear picture.
Yes, true. Did that pressure of having to come up with those things, did you ever have creative block, things like that?
Yes. And what was frustrating too, because I ended up directing music videos on the side as well during that time. And I'll never forget, because you get a song and you'd go, I don't see it. I don't see the song. And I'd try and force the idea. And I wish I had known now what I know, because I would have said, look, this is not for me, this one. But there's others, like I did one for John Williamson and Sarah Storr, a country music video. And they gave me a bush ballad. And I thought, I've never done a bush ballad. Like, how? A bush ballad? But it was so easy to be able to create that video, because it had a script. It had a story within country music, has a script for you to follow. So someone joked to me and said, look, if you put a dog, a ute and a girl in there, you'll probably get an award. And funny enough, that's the one clip I did that in, and I got a golden guitar nomination for that clip. Wow. So that's funny.
That is funny. That is funny. So yeah, obviously, and you've worked with many sort of very prominent people in Australia, in the TV and music industry. Did you ever have a block with any of them, or the type of thing they were doing just didn't fit with you, even though they were successful, blah, blah, blah?
I would say, and I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for this, Ita Buttrose. I didn't like working with her. She was interesting. So I just think that I found when I worked with her, she's very confident, and I wasn't back then. So I was probably giving that off. So she could read that. And so therefore,
Yes.
when I talked to her or I would give her direction, she'd look the other way. She wouldn't look at me. She wouldn't take direction. And I found that to be really hard to work with because it was, and that came from my confidence. I knew that I was a bit intimidated. So it was like, okay, shit, she's not responding. So I was being really soft. So I know that it was, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Obviously they're our greatest teachers, so she taught you a great deal, and I'm sure there are many others, in that arena that you would have learnt so much from, what
Yes.
to do and what not to do, and how to handle all sorts of situations with people. It's a great, huge learning curve, isn't it? When you feel on the other end, what's the right word? I don't know, but you're the one trying to be there. They're the big person, the big star, and so forth. So it teaches you, it's very much about empowering yourself at that time, even though you may not have felt that.
Absolutely. And because I never got starstruck, but I think other people saying things and that you've got to be a certain way and you've got to act a certain way, you're kind of like, oh, well, I don't really feel that, but okay. I think also one of the most stressful shoots I did was, it wasn't a person, but it was an environment, because we created this rain inside, and all these girls were on this platform, and the art director had created rain coming inside, but the problem was he didn't actually create sufficient drainage. So what happened was, there was all these girls I was responsible for, these dancers. The rain was coming down. It was a fire hose. It was a lot of water, and we flooded the studio, and there were cables starting to float in water. And I will never forget, because I had somebody co-directing with me, and he's just like, get the shot. And I'm like, I am so stressed right now. We have to shut the set down because I'm responsible for all these people and it's dangerous. So those things, you just go, something was watching over me then, because it was a dangerous situation. The shots looked incredible, but it was a very stressful experience.
Yeah. Do you, in times where you may not feel as confident with a particular scene or what you're doing, self-doubt, does that come in, and how do you work through that for yourself?
It's a really good question, and this is happening because I'm creating an elephant documentary at the moment. So yes. I think the biggest challenge for me throughout this whole process of following an elephant's message that I picked up, and tapping into the telepathic communication of elephants. Now, that has had self-doubt the whole way, because I'm like, is it really? What about a scientific study? You really like? And then I just have this constantly, which is why it's taken me so long to produce. And so the biggest sabotage there has been my self-doubt. And every time I feel it, I know that, well, I know this story is important to get out there, so just stop it. So sometimes it takes years, but there's obviously a lesson there to learn to get that out. But there's also a lesson to learn that just trusting in yourself, that there's a reason, and allowing it. So when self-doubt comes, I go back to the vision of what I'm creating and look at trying to connect back to that.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that you would also teach other people as well. When you're going, we all go through that great self-doubt, and it's holding that vision to get through it, because it's just a resistance. And I guess everyone has a bit of a different way of getting through things, but reinforcing that is so important, because really,
and coming with confidence, it's a muscle. The self-doubt gets quieter the more that you step up, the more you trust yourself and take those actions and start working on your mindset and just the vision, and trusting yourself and having faith in your direction, because I find the voice gets softer and softer. So just having faith in yourself And building that inner confidence is something that you need to do as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a healer, anyone. I think that's important.
Yes, definitely. I mean, that goes across the board with anything we do, but certainly, particularly when you're putting yourself out there, it can be very daunting because there's so many other people out there, with a message or what they're doing. Look, every facet of life now, particularly since COVID, we're all on watching videos and everyone's talking about this or that, or just even on a personal level with family, we're speaking on video, aren't we? So
Yes.
It's huge. And in terms of work, particularly for women, it's getting your confidence and speaking up is a massive thing. Yeah,
it is. And I think it's a certain generation, because those born now and born in the generation of online, they don't have that confidence stuff going on. And so I think that this will never be a thing in the future, because this is something that we're all dealing with now, because we weren't born with cameras that we could see ourselves. I mean, I did music videos with film, and I had to wait to get that film back and then go, oh my God, I hope it's all right. Yes, it's worked. So,
yes,
it's
true.
changed dramatically, and it's going to continue to evolve and change. So I think we are a minority now, that those coming up the ranks are not going to feel that way as much. They'll have other pressures.
Because babies, little children, I mean, with phones particularly, they can teach you half the things. Young children, they're so confident with videoing. And I know my grandchildren, my youngest, she's 4, the grandchild, she's scrolling through, very confident on how to look at videos, and I'm sure we'll be shooting them very soon. So yeah, it's a totally different thing to how we were brought up. So in that way, in your work, you do focus a bit more on women over 35, but anyone can do your courses, obviously.
Yeah.
But you want to empower those women who haven't grown up with this type of technology.
Yeah, and look, it's about then them going after what they want in their life too, just creating that multiple streams of income online, and understanding, because there is also another way of looking at the world, that you have to work hard for what you do. And I think that's an old belief that's out there. No, for myself, it's one I've worked through tremendously, that you can create other streams of income, and your creativity is infinite. So when you tap into that, you can create so many streams of income. And that's what we like to be able to teach. Is video is transformational on many levels. It's not just the visual side of who you become as a leader, but it's how you communicate. It's also vibrationally, you shift, because you are giving more, you are being more of service when you shift and change as well.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, when you take the focus off yourself, and yeah, that being of service is a huge thing. And today, as it is the world, we really need to pull together to do that. So, getting a message out, no matter what it is, for people.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
So you offer struggle with that too.
Sorry, say that again.
Most people struggle getting their message out there. They add too many things to their name, like I do this and this and this and this and this, but that actually dilutes what they're saying. So being able to say it in one succinct sentence that grabs people and they go, wow, I want to talk to you, is important.
Yes, often, less can be more in that context.
Yeah, yes. And that's the same with video too. You don't have to give everything away. You want to just give a little bit so people get to know you and want to come back for more. Yes,
exactly. And you actually were the founder of Girl Director, but your partner, Michael, came in with you on this, and you worked together, you lived together. How has things blossomed within that, or the direction, or how's that?
A good question. Well, Michael, it's interesting because we tried to find a replacement for Michael for many years. We hired people, and I'm just like, I just want you. But the business of that back then was video production, and it wasn't sustainable enough because it was little bits of money, and we had not done no personal development back then. So it was like a huge risk. But there was just one point where Michael wasn't happy where he worked in the finance area. And he's just like, I said, go away, come back when you've made a decision on what you want to do. And no ultimatum or anything. I'm like, just go and come back, and then you've made the decision. And he came back within about 20 minutes and said, okay, I've made a decision, let's do it. And
that's pretty quick.
I'm like, wow, I didn't expect that to be the answer. And we got a job, like a call for a job that day for somebody in the finance industry. So it was really interesting how as soon as we made that decision, things started to go. And what I love is I just feel as soon as we made that, we were together and we could create our dreams together. Because Michael works differently to me. And I think one of the biggest things we learned as a couple was having really defined job roles. Because at the beginning, we were both trying to do and doubling up and doing different things. But having really clear job roles so that we had responsibilities made it a lot easier when we'd communicate, because we're 24/7 together. So, but we love what we do. We love being able to create our dreams together and be able to help people together. It's a pretty, it's very unique and very special.
Yes. And Michael, well, you both do. He helps, one of his roles is sort of explaining the technology and the things to use. I mean, you both do, but he does his own videos on this as well, which are great because they're very down to earth and easy to understand. And it's very valuable in that way. So it's great to have both of you there.
And because our YouTube channel, we've got all that how-to content for free. So we've got so much stuff there under Girl Director TV. So if you do want to have some free technical training, there's some great stuff there Michael does. And what it's also good is we both think so differently. So Michael will be more detailed, whereas I'm more big picture. And we both coach. We're both great coaches because we've done a lot of personal development and coaching within that. So we both coming from different angles, but we come together because we both have different facets.
Yes, you're very fortunate to be able to work together because not everyone can live together and work together. So it's you're very blessed in that way.
We've worked hard at that, that hasn't been instant. Believe me, we've had our, it's like we try and yell at each other at the house. It's like, I can't hear you. And it's like, I'm trying to talk to you. And his office is up above mine. And, that whole frustration as a couple, I'm trying to yell out and don't yell at me in the house because I can't hear you. We need walkie-talkies or something.
That's a good idea. Yes, definitely. Yeah, so that's great that you're able to do that and, work so well. So has the online, obviously things going online has helped a lot. You've been able to transition quite easily. And so the change that's happened, since COVID really hasn't affected how you work.
Well, it did a little bit because when COVID, I guess, happened, I had my own health challenge come up. So I found that, everyone was dealing with like COVID, but I had a cancer diagnosis. So it was like it shocked the wind out of me. But I realized then that this was a kick up the butt I needed to then look at how I was running the business and how we were operating, because I was just giving. And I realized I needed to do things differently. So we pulled back and I started to work on myself and look at how I was in the business and how I wanted it to be moving forward. So things definitely shifted, but we were in a very fortunate space where we have been online 8 years. We've been teaching video. We've been, doing so much online already that side didn't, but the business definitely was affected because of our energy and what we were going through as well.
Yeah. So it's always about adapting to whatever changes happen in your personal or in the world, That's all we can do is learn to adapt. So, yes.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if someone was thinking about, they've got something they want to do, and sort of a really, like, it is terrifying at times to get and speak and see yourself, hear yourself, even though your message is like you're passionate about what you want to do. How would you go about it, tell them or help them go about that, just to start?
So I would say that if this is driving you, because with the elephant doco, when I had a fear of the camera, what helped me to shift was that when the cause is greater than you, you'll find a way. So you want to ask yourself, is this cause greater? Is it forcing me to want to get out of my comfort zone to do something about it? And then make that decision to do it. Because I think a lot of people's indecision creates stagnation, and it creates so much procrastination and no action. So I think the biggest thing to do is to follow those crazy ideas you have. They are the best ones you've got, and just take action, not second guess yourself, and start practicing, because you have to get used to seeing yourself on video is the very first step. So doing selfies around the house, even reading from a book on camera, start getting used to seeing yourself, because if you don't like what you see, that's all in the lighting, the clothes, what you're saying. Like, nobody looks good in bad lighting or bad framing, or if you don't know what you're doing. So do not worry, because everyone goes through that. It's who you're becoming as a leader that's going to shift and change. But do not stay the same, and do not hide away being that best kept secret, because it's not going to go away.
I mean, procrastination is often just about not knowing how to go about something, or not knowing what to do. So you sort of not do anything. So it is just taking those steps. Even if what's great about, our phones is we can delete everything, as you start. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Look, we have free training that we run, and we have transformation happen in 7 days. Like, we have these exercises that actually work with the left and right side of the brain. People think I'm nuts, but they work. At the end of it, they're like, I don't know how this happened, but it worked. And that's the great thing about just working through the process. You will change if you keep going and you keep practicing. You don't need to do it for 21 days or anything like that. You can get a huge shift in 7 days.
Yes, and it really does shift you on a lot of different levels, within yourself, not just about doing the video. It's about yourself and feeling more confident to speak up to whoever, or, share whatever about yourself. And
Absolutely.
that's the thing. A lot of people, keep quiet or hide or feel they can't share anything. So it's personal development also in that way, really.
It completely is. And also, you can always get better. Every time I do my own challenge, I always get better too, because I'm looking at up leveling and how I can improve, repetition, and just looking at how can I get better? What can I do this time that's going to be a different story? Or how can I communicate something else differently? So I find those that actually do it multiple times have life-changing results from it.
Yes, definitely. Yes. I would agree with that. Just I'm just going to digress back again. Your documentary about the elephant and the connection you had there. I'd love to hear more about that, because that was, when did you start that one? That was a while ago.
That was 2012, so 7 years, about 7 years ago. And that was the first. I had just finished my video production side of Girl Director, because I really decided I didn't want to work in the ego-driven industry that it was back then. So I had a bit of a meltdown, and I had to stop doing everything for a while and listen to just where I was going to go next, because I thought, well, I want to make a difference in the world. I want to use my skills that I have. What can I do? And I just started learning a bit about animal communication. And that really spoke true to me, that you could communicate with animals. Opened my whole world up. And then I I had this image of an elephant taking a photo just pop in while I was having a shower. And I just thought, where did that come from? And I don't know. People go, I love elephants, or I love this. No affiliation to elephants at all before that moment.
Oh, really?
So it was random. It came from, and that's why I feel like it's a soul calling that this needs to come out there. And I just happened to be tuning in at that time. So I decided after that I would research. And 3 months later, I took off to go and try and find that particular elephant that sent me that message.
Oh, wow. And you did find that particular elephant?
Well, I don't know, because when I went to Thailand first, and then since then I've been to Africa, I've been everywhere, but I realized, because the first elephant I met was Peter, and he just finished filming a Samsung ad doing the exact thing that I had imagined, of course. And I thought, okay, this message is deeper than this. Okay, you got me here. Now what am I going to do? So that's kind of how it's evolved from there.
Yes. Wow. And how did you go communicating with the elephant?
Well, I struggled a lot with self-doubt, and that was my biggest issue was, what am I doing here? Am I nuts? Like, what am I going to do now? So once I went to Thailand, I parked the project for a long time, but I never forgot it. So I interviewed animal communicators, different ones. And then we ended up in Africa in 2019, where I followed an animal communicator, and we communicated with an elephant. Because the thing is, focusing on a documentary takes a lot of focus, and communicating with animals takes a lot of focus. So I was trying to get the story and communicate, and it just was really difficult for me to do.
Yeah.
So I realized I had to work with someone else.
Yes, no, that's fair enough. Yeah, it'd be wonderful though. I mean, I love animal communicators things. There's many people that do it around the world, which is wonderful. And I think animals and humans are opening more to each other, I think. And I often see that, which is brilliant. We need to. So really,
sorry.
No, go on.
I was going to say, I can communicate with animals when I am really focused, and I let any self-doubt go and just listen. I do have messages, which this whole documentary is about that. So it's about following the voice of the elephants and showing the wisdom that they have, and showing and proving that animal communication works from a skeptic's point of view. So I did follow my pathway through Africa and meeting all these different people, following different elephants, and learning that their story before you actually found out if it was true or not. So even from the actual vision of this elephant, we went and visited the elephant, visited the people around it. So there's a lot of scientific backing that we have around, this as well.
Yes, no, that would have been fascinating. So what would you say, is there any one thing that, stimulates your creativity? You get visions, you get feelings. How do things come to you?
Music's a big one for me. When I go and we've just filmed a video on Friday actually for ourselves, and I just love this piece of music. And as soon as I played it, I just could see the whole vision of our video for Michael and I, and we went and filmed it, and we had somebody come and film it. And so it was very clear from that music inspired the vision, and I just followed that. That's
great. Yes. I mean, everyone gets their creativity or ideas, at least in different ways. And it's often when you're quiet or doing something mindless, things will come in the strangest ways often, and it can be fun. But as long as it comes in, that's the main thing. Yes. So Absolutely. You have actually written a book as well, and it's coming out this Friday, did you say?
Well, yes, it's actually launched this Friday. So I wrote the book 5 years ago. This is the second edition because with video and technology, there is some bits when I were reading it, I was like, oh my God, this book is amazing. But let's just change a few of the technical terms so that they're up to date. So we sold 10,000 copies around 5 years ago. So now we've relaunched it as a second edition. And that's, we're having a launch party on Friday, which I'm very excited about.
Online, that is, everyone.
Yes,
Online,
it
is. Yes. So, yes, that will be fun. Yeah, so that can, reading that will help it gives a lot of detail for people and, helping them work through this.
Well, I wrote it for especially women that are either not confident on camera, they have no idea where to start, they need motivation, inspiration, and they can see firsthand what they can do, because there is not one path for everyone. And that's where in this book you're going to find out what particular superpower you have around video, so you can start focusing on creating content that you want to create. And also there's video training attached to the book. So if you want it on paperback or you want to download the Kindle version, there's some online training that goes with it.
So what would be your youngest person that's done your training and your oldest or most mature person?
Youngest person. That's a really good question. I've had a lot of women that have their daughters that join us. So they may be, in their like 20, 21, 22. And so I'm coaching their mum, but their daughter is also on board. So that works extremely well if two of them are in the business, and then they both can work on different facets like Michael and I do. So I'd say around 20 years old. Oldest or most, I would say in the 70s, although I did talk to a lady in her 90s, but I think she was just reaching out to chat to a lot of people, and she was in a retirement home. And I thought, I love your work. I'm just going to have this great chat. And, she's like, oh, I want to join. I'm thinking, no, this is not right. She's just reaching out to lots of people. So I didn't. So
it is interesting because there are, when I've done readings, before, I've read for a number of 80-year-olds, and they've still got quite a bit of work to do in the outside world. So it's like, it doesn't mean just because you're more mature that you can't do this. It's what your passion is. And even if it's maybe not a business, it's like a, could be an interest or a hobby or anything that you're passionate about that you want to talk about and share with people, or just talk. So many people there's so many lonely people out there. If they want to interact with people, it's just basically getting confident in what you want to say. That's what's so great.
The age thing, I don't like to put people in an age bracket because, and that's for myself too, because I meet some people that are younger or in their 20s and they seem so much older and what they've been here before many times. Or there's myself where I feel like, well, what is a number? So it's really up to what's somebody's goal. Like Jane Goodall, she's out there making huge shifts in the world. David Attenborough is in his 90s. It does not matter if your drive is there. If you want to make a difference, it's not about the technology, because your mission, your vision, there's ways around it. We teach how to outsource if the technical side is something you don't want to do, but you still want to get your message out there. Don't let that hold you back.
Yes, sometimes we're not all techos, I still, have challenges.
And go after what you're good at and focus on what you're good at, because there are definitely ways, and especially with video editing, I see in the future that you will need one to be able to help you to create, just like you would a salesperson or a VA. An editor will be a part of your team you'll have to have. It'll be a non-negotiable.
Yes. Do you have a vision at all, or could you see what the future may go to in this sort of area at all?
I say that virtual reality it's just only a matter of time before that goes. So you're going to be learning video skills that are going to translate to virtual reality, and you'll be beamed. And unfortunately, I think we're going to become more disconnected as a species, and that's just what I think. Because the more you put virtual reality goggles on, the more you're disconnected, and then the more you'll beam into other people's vicinity, but people won't be connected personally. They'll be connected visually. So I think I'm really interested to see what happens. I know that it's definitely an area that we'll be looking into, is the virtual reality training for people, so they can pick and hold things up and spin them around. It makes it a lot easier to teach doing that.
Yes, it's somehow like doing this, we are getting more disconnected, and that is a very sad thing. It's how we can hold that for as long as possible, whilst being in this way, using video. But as you say, I can see that happening. I don't know how we can stop that fully, or should we, or what the story
I don't think you can stop evolution or also technology, but I think there'll be a point where you've got to look at, okay, well, if that's coming, how can we be training using that? But then that's already running for people to do, where you're not on goggles all the time. You're just you're living in the present, but you're training, and you've got that time where you're plugged in. You know what I mean? I think my retirement homes and things like that, I would say bring it on, virtual reality. You can create any world you want. If you're not well, or you're in a position where you can't go out in the world, I think it's a brilliant thing.
I've used, I had some experience on my daughter-in-law's virtual reality thing, and it's quite amazing. And I can see how you could get lost in that, but yeah, I still love the organic real world much more. But yeah, it's fascinating. And the younger ones, obviously, just will go for it so much. It's still keeping that together. And is your favorite still live trainings or online in that way?
Look, we love to just transform lives. It doesn't matter if it's live or not, or if somebody watches a video and they have a shift from that. I want to do more of that type of thing. So I really feel that nothing beats being in a room, though. When we run workshops all around the country and looking at other countries, we do love to be in the space, because I get ideas instantly for people.
Yes.
And then I know that they're goldmine ideas for people. And that's how I work, is that being in this industry for 20 odd years, you get an instinct for people, and you can see what works, what doesn't, and where they can tune in. And that's the beauty of being live. You get to feel that.
Yes, you get the feeling more. And it's a very different energy being within a person's energy field than online in that way. Yes. Yeah.
And they're focused. Online people can get distracted. And I know for myself, doing online training, it's like, okay, you've got this open, or this happens, and you get distracted. Whereas being in a room, it's like, right, this is your time to learn this now. Focus.
Yes. Could you have ever seen yourself doing anything else in life?
You know what? I've asked that question a lot of times, and I just think because it's been such a long time, that the vision I've had of being a director is, I don't know anything else. And I'm definitely asking that question, especially with the elephant documentary. I want to tap more into that animal communication side, because it's there. It's just I'm not allowing it, or I'm not focusing on it. So yeah, I definitely want to do more in the energy space, and I am doing more of that too.
So we can see you, put it forward 40 years or so, you'll still be maybe directing.
I would say 40 years. Ooh. Look, I see myself stepping, being more overview with Girl Director, and then looking at more agency too, having a really beautiful high-end cinematic experience for people, because that's something lacking out there. There's a lot of talking videos, but not a lot of beautiful videos that last a long time that are out there. And those kind of documentary type videos will replace books at some stage. So, you know, people love to watch content more now, more and more.
Yes, they do. More than possibly reading, you know, that's sort of becoming less. It's like the visual is so much more. Yes. Do you read much anymore to get ideas as well?
All the time. I love to read books. I don't read enough, but I love to read the same books over and over again to expand my mind. And I find the biggest thing for me is giving myself silence to write. That's the biggest struggle that I have, is giving myself that time to not fill it with something else and let the ideas flow and the messages flow. Whereas I like to busy myself and read and do this and do that, and I don't give myself that space.
Yes, it is important. Our world is so busy, but giving yourself that time is worth it when you're, especially in a creative role that you have, or for anyone really. I mean, we're all born creative, so it's just tapping into that and giving yourself space for that.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
And when people say I'm not creative, I don't believe it. And if you are feeling that, I definitely challenge you to reach out, because I bet you are. You just haven't allowed yourself to, or your creativity is different. It's one that you've just got to explore a bit more and find your personal creative style.
It is, and it's something that makes you happy. When you're being creative, you're creating and you're focusing less on something negative or lack or whatever. When you're in that creative space, your whole energy does expand.
And you're creating right now. You're creating whether you like it or not. You're creating your world. You're creating what's going on for you. You're manifesting. It's happening whether you know it or not. So
yes, exactly. So for anyone out there who, in any shape or form that you want to feel you would like to speak more on or share more on video, or just get that confidence going, reach out to Rachel. Your website's girldirector.com, and I will put that in the chat and on Facebook. I've unfortunately lost the chat, or if I found it, we would lose us. So I will answer any questions, and I'll direct any questions you may have to Rachel, to her. But certainly it's been great having you on the show, and just to understand the background and what your passion and your mission is in life, and how it gives you so much in your life, and it keeps you going, doesn't it? Feed you.
It does. And I think that when I hear somebody that is really not feeling good about themselves, it's almost like I become this like, no, I'm never going to make you, never going to feel like that again. I want to show you that you can love what you do, love what you see. And when other people put people down too, there's bullying online, or they don't feel confident because of that, that's where I go into like, oh, what? I'm never going to let that happen to you again under my care. So this kind of rebel comes in and just takes over. So look, I'm a real advocate for helping, empowering, and inspiring, and magic happens from that.
It does. And you and Michael together are a great team at doing that. And it's great to have the masculine and feminine energies while you're teaching as well, to give both sides and how you can look at things a bit differently. So that's important too. It's not just from one aspect. Yeah,
absolutely. Sure. No, we're very grateful for everything that we've created, and we've worked hard at learning and growing and working through things as a couple, and we know that we can help a lot of people shortcut that because we've done the work. So yeah,
exactly. So if you have even just any doubt, but I think it's just having a go, and that's, as you said before, it's just trying it. You can't hurt anyone.
Finding that cause is greater than you. If it doesn't drive you enough, then is it the right cause? That's what I say. So that's a good question.
And
And look, and if you
that's
have,
very good.
and if you have any, and if you want to read a really inspirational book, Better Videos is out now, and it's with me. I'm holding your hand through the pages, motivating you every step, so you can see that it's possible.
Great. Okay. Well, fantastic. That's been been very informative and really interesting to find out, all the background. And I know there's a lot more you could talk about, but we, I think, have covered a fair bit today. So thanks again for being on the show. And I hope everyone's, found something. It may have triggered something inside you somewhere to, if you've got a business or for any cause that you may have that you want to get on video, get in touch with Rachel and Michael, and they will certainly, you'll be in good hands, and they will help you. Definitely.
The world needs your message.
Good. Yes, exactly. So remember that. All right, we'll say goodbye, and thank you all for viewing, and we'll see you in 2 weeks with my next guest. So thanks again, Rachel. Take care.
Thanks to Beth.
Bye.
Bye.